lot of great questions on my recent post on how you can learn to earn. One of those questions was from a gentleman that wants to know specifically how to buy and finance apartment buildings. Now I'm going to call apartment buildings 5 units and above. 4 units and below are residential, which they're still apartments, but for financing purposes, 5 units and above is considered commercial. Now in the commercial space, it's a lot easier to get financing than it is in the residential space. Number one, not only is it based on your income and your credit score, it's also based on the building that you're buying income. So if you're buying a building that either has great income now as you go in, or you can show the bank a plan on how you're going to increase or improve the income and the management, that will go a long way in helping you to get qualified for that property. Now, as far as finding apartment buildings, there's a lot of different sites that you can use online. One of the more specific sites that I use here in California is loopnet.com. That's LOOPNET.com. You can either go on there for free and get limited information, or you can subscribe and you'll get the full information. Now, one thing I want to tell you about apartment building purchasing versus residential is that usually it's a sophisticated seller when you're buying an apartment building. So they're not as emotionally attached to the property as when you're buying someone's home that they may have lived in for 20 years. If you're buying an apartment building from someone that they've owned for 20 years, they're done. They don't want to deal with the management. They don't want to deal with the hassles. And oftentimes, without even going to a bank to get financing, that seller might be willing to carry the financing. Okay, so in other words, that seller will become the bank. There's a high probability that you can negotiate a deal like that, which makes you getting into that property a lot easier than you might think. So, for example, let's say the seller, just for the sake of argument, is making $5,000 a month, but they're so sick of the management, they're sick of changing, dealing with leaky toilets and repairs and things like that. So you come along and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll give you X amount of dollars down for the property, and you carry the balance for X amount of years with this monthly payment. And that's going to be very valuable to that seller because number one, they're able to continue receiving income, and number two, they no longer have to deal with the responsibilities and the headache of owning an apartment building. So it's basically a win-win for the both of you. So in a quick recap, in order to buy apartment buildings, it's usually a lot easier than buying single family because you're dealing with a sophisticated seller that once they've decided to sell, they're absolutely going to sell it. When it comes to financing an apartment building, you have a couple of different options. You can go to your bank that you have your bank account with, your checking account, and you can apply for a loan there to buy the building. They're going to use your criteria along with the criteria of the building, which is going to help you to purchase it. That's option number one with regard to financing it. And option number two is seller carryback, where the seller actually finances the purchase. So that's just a quick little answer. I hope it helps. I hope it at least sends you in the right direction. And if you have any more questions, like I said, always feel free to reach out. This is Barry Malcolm, known as Barry the Buyer. Peace out.